channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. I'm Amy. This is my son JJ. He is 5 months old, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different on my channel. I'm going to be doing like a story time of my delivery, and I really wanted to do this to document the whole experience while it was still somewhat fresh in my brain a little bit, so that I could have it years down the road, he would be able to look at it, and then if any of you guys are expecting or just like interested in my labor and delivery experience, then just keep on watching. So a little bit about JJ right now. He is 5 months old, like I said. I do have a 2-month and a 4-month update on my channel. I can link those down below, and then I will be doing a 6-month update after we go to his 6-month doctor's appointment next month. And he is just like growing so fast, learning so quickly, and eating so much. Most of the time he is such a happy baby as well. So moving on to the story time. So I'm going to be reading out of my belly book that I used all through my pregnancy. This is absolutely amazing. I documented weekly, and then I wrote down a bunch of stuff right after I had him that was like fresh in my memory, and then some of my family members that were there kind of like took like timestamps of what was going on when, and they sent that to me, so I wrote that down as well so that I could just like remember everything as well as possible. So he was born at 40 weeks and 3 days. He did not want to come out at all. My labor began at about 4:30, 5 a.m. on a Friday morning. It was Friday, March 23rd at around 4:30. I think I woke up with contractions, and I lay there for a while and I timed them, and it had been about maybe like 20 minutes, and they were coming every 5 minutes. So I woke my husband up and I was like, I think this is the real deal. So we got up, and I think I had some water, maybe some coffee, I don't really remember, and I bounced on my birthing ball. That thing was like my holy grail through my pregnancy. I used that non-stop while I was pregnant. After about an hour, I think about 6 o'clock in the morning, is when we left to go to the hospital because my contractions were still consistent. So we left to go to the hospital around then, and it was about like a 15-20 minute drive. We got to the hospital, and so we got to the hospital, and they took me into triage and, you know, whatever, weighed me, all that, whatever they do. I was only 2 centimeters, and so they were kind of like, you can go walk around the hospital for a little bit. They did suggest I go get something to eat because I hadn't ate yet, and you know, if I did get admitted, I couldn't eat anything really. So we walked around for a little bit. We went and got Einstein Brother bagels. So good, literally my favorite bagels in the world. But so it was hilarious. And then I want to say it was about like 7:30, 8 o'clock probably. So we were standing in line at Einstein Bagels in the morning, and we were on post because my husband is in the Army, if you didn't know. So we were on post, so it was like right when everybody was like getting ready to go to work and everything. So there were a lot of people. We were standing in this long line. I was having contractions every like 4 to 5 minutes, and people just kept looking at me like I was absolutely insane and asking me if I was okay, and I was like, oh, I'm just in labor, no big deal, you know, whatever. So I'm sure people thought I was just like absolutely insane, but what can you do? After we got done eating, we went back to the hospital. They checked me again. Nothing changed. They were like, do it all over again. Go walk around for another 2 hours, come back. So from then, I don't know, what time was it by then? Maybe like a 9 o'clock by then. And then from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock, nothing like really changed. So we were literally trying everything at this point. The hospital, I think, was 12 floors, I believe. And we kept taking the elevator all the way up to the top. And then we would run down the stairs, going back down, trying to get this baby out of me. And we did that so many times. I don't even know, for probably like an hour, I want to say. And then about 2 o'clock was the last time I got checked. I think I was 3 centimeters then, and they were like, keep doing the same thing. But they suggested that I like go home and maybe like take a bath, try to sleep a little bit, and eat something else if I could. We went back home. We picked up McDonald's on the way. I had French fries. I don't think I ate very many at all, but I had some fries. And then I took a bath for a little bit. I tried to lay down for probably about an hour, but I was still waking up every 5 minutes or so with contractions. I think about 6 o'clock, the contractions started to get a lot stronger, more painful, and whatnot. So I remember like bouncing on the ball some more, and then I was just like, I can't do it, we gotta go. So around like 6:30 or so, we left to go back to the hospital. On the way to the hospital, I remember, I guess it was a really bad contraction, something, it was just getting so painful, and I just like burst into tears. I was like probably like hyperventilating, like trying to breathe, just awful. Awful. My husband was driving, and he was like trying to drive as fast as he could to get there. It was like rush hour, of course, so there was a lot of traffic. And my mother-in-law, because she was there as well, she just kind of like reached around me and hugged me and tried to calm me down. But I was just like freaking out. But I calmed down, and then we were going through the gate to get back on post, and the gate guard was like, are you okay? And my husband was like, oh yeah, she's in labor. And they were like, oh my god, just go. So they let us just drive through. And then, so when we got to the hospital, I was still 3 centimeters. I hadn't changed. It was like the worst news ever. I was like, you gotta be kidding. They gave me some medicine. I have no idea what it was called. I was not paying that much attention at the time. They gave me something to kind of like ease the pain of the contractions a little bit, to make them not so, you know, make them a little bit more bearable. They gave me that, and I was still in triage at this time. And then they were monitoring JJ and all that, and his heart rate dropped a little bit. It was for like 30 seconds maybe. It was such a short time period that his heart rate just dropped and then just came right back up. But because it dropped just that little bit for that short amount of time, they were like, okay, we're gonna admit you finally. This was, I think that was around 9 p.m. on Friday. I believe that I got admitted. A few hours later, they had given me an epidural because I was just like, screw this, help me. I had been about 18 hours in labor when they gave me the epidural, finally. And then a little bit after I got the epidural, they broke my water, and then my contractions still weren't speeding up. I was still at about like 4 to 5 minutes, I think, of my contractions. So they then gave me Pitocin, and that worked. That helped a lot. I really went into like active labor after that, I believe. And I tried to like sleep, but with that epidural, like every 20 minutes they wanted me to change positions and keep moving, and so I got like absolutely no sleep. I think my husband got a little bit, thankfully, but I got none. Around about 7 a.m. I was at 9 centimeters, and then at 8:45 I was at 10 centimeters, and I started to push. And by that time, my epidural had kind of worn off, like it just wasn't working anymore. So through all the pushing and everything, I felt it all. It was basically like I didn't even have the epidural. And then at 11:01, my son was born. So it was 2 hours and 15 minutes of pushing, I believe. So it was a long time. It did not feel that long though. Honestly, the pushing part, pushing him was the easiest and best part of my labor, and I would do that again, like in a heartbeat. That was the easiest part of the whole thing, which might be weird to some people, but to me, that was the best part. I was so tired though that I would have a contraction. And push, and then my mother-in-law was like feeding me ice cubes, like ice chips, and then I would like fall asleep in like 1 minute, and then I would wake up after like 1 minute and have another contraction. That's how it went like the whole time. It was just so, I don't know, it was just insane. I was so tired, and it was so rough, you know, being like that long in labor. So I did have a midwife for my labor, and she was absolutely amazing. If I ever have another baby, I hope, okay, I don't hope that my labor is just the same, because that was way too long and insane, but I would do everything exactly the same. I would get an epidural again. I would do everything exactly the same. I would have a midwife, everything exactly how his birth was. So he was born on Saturday, March 24th at 11:01 a.m. was 7 pounds, 8 ounces, and 20.5 inches long. He did not cry when he first came out. I mean, he was totally fine. Like, everything was perfect. He just wasn't crying. He like latched on and started nursing immediately, but the nurses kept like messing with him because, you know, they wanted him to cry, and he just like was not having it. He did not want to cry. But he finally did, and everything was good. He passed all of his tests immediately. Everything was super great. And like I said, he has been nursing like a champ ever since day one immediately. So that is so amazing. You know, I'm very lucky that I don't have any problems with nursing at all. But I think that about covers my birth story. It was a long 31 hours. Hard, tiring, you know, all that stuff. But it was so amazing. And, you know, I'm just so glad that it went the way that it did. And my care team was just incredible. I couldn't have asked for a better care team that I had. And for those of you that don't know, his full name is Frederick Bernard Jackson III. But we do call him JJ for short. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, getting to know a little more about me, and just learning my, you know, birth, delivery, labor story, whatever you want to call it. And thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you want to see more of this cutie and me and my family, then make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.